As the great Buddha once wisely said, "The mind is everything, what you think you become." When life feels uncertain, when the future is blurry and your heart is heavy, it's not always the situation that drowns you. It's your own mind, the endless thoughts, the imagined fears, the weight of what if. In these moments, your mind becomes the battlefield, and the real struggle is not outside of you, it's within. But Buddhism offers something rare in today's chaotic world, a way back to stillness, even while the storm rages on. It teaches us that peace isn't something you chase or find in the outside world, it's something you return to, a quiet place inside you that never left, only forgotten. In this video, we'll walk a path rooted in ancient wisdom, a path that shows you how to breathe again, how to let go, and how to stop being at war with your own thoughts. Take a deep breath. This is your moment of return. 1. Your thoughts are not always the truth. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is that your mind is not always your friend. It doesn't always tell the truth. In fact, the Buddha often described the mind as a wild monkey, jumping from one fear to another, constantly making up stories based on fear, insecurity, and past pain. When you're going through hard times, your thoughts can become especially loud and convincing. You may hear things in your head like, "I'll never make it," "I'm not good enough," "Everything is falling apart." But here's the truth. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's real. Thoughts are not facts. They are mental habits, patterns your brain has repeated over time, often rooted in fear, not truth. Buddhism teaches us to become observers of our thoughts rather than believers in them. Instead of getting pulled into every negative thought, you can take a step back and simply notice it. Imagine your thoughts as clouds in the sky. Some are dark and heavy, some are light and fluffy, but none of them stay forever, and none of them are the sky itself. You are the sky, your awareness, your presence, your inner stillness. That is your true nature. The clouds are just passing moods, so when a worried or fearful thought comes, practice saying, "Ah, that's just a thought. It's not who I am. It's not the full truth." Take a deep breath. Let it pass without reacting to it. This practice, called mindfulness, is like learning to sit beside a rushing river without jumping in. The more you recognize your thoughts as temporary and separate from your true self, the less power they have over you, and slowly you'll find a quiet confidence growing inside, one that no fearful thought can destroy. 2. Focus on the present, not the prediction. One of the main reasons we worry so much is because we leave the present moment and get lost in the future. We start imagining everything that could go wrong. What if I lose everything? What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough to handle this? These thoughts create anxiety, not because they're happening now, but because our mind is making predictions. But Buddhism teaches us something simple and powerful. The future does not exist yet. The only thing that is real is this moment, right here, right now. The present moment is the safest place you can be. It's where your breath is. It's where your body is. It's where peace lives. When you anchor yourself in the now, even just for a few minutes, your mind slows down. You begin to realize that in this moment, you are okay. You are breathing. You are alive. You are safe. It's important to understand that worry is usually not about what is happening now. It's about what might happen later. But the future is just a mental movie. It's not happening yet. And most of the time, the things we worry about never even come true. So instead of trying to predict the future or control what hasn't happened, practice returning to the now. Buddhism encourages simple methods for this, like mindful breathing, listening deeply to your surroundings, or paying attention to what your body feels. When your mind begins to spin with fear, ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? Am I okay in this moment? Can I take one mindful breath? These small practices pull you out of the storm of what-ifs and back into the calm of what is. Because the truth is, you don't need to figure out the next 5 steps. You just need to take the next breath. And in doing that, you give your nervous system a chance to relax, your heart a chance to open, and your soul a chance to rest. First, you stop drowning in imaginary futures and start living in real peace. 3, you can't control everything, but you can control this. One of the biggest sources of worry and stress is the desire to control everything around us. We want things to go according to plan. We want people to treat us a certain way. We want our efforts to guarantee success. But life rarely listens to our plans. The weather changes. People disappoint us. Situations fall apart. Unexpected problems show up without warning. And when things don't go how we imagined, we feel helpless, frustrated, or scared. But Buddhism teaches us a life-changing truth. Trying to control everything is a cause of suffering. Why? Because control is an illusion. The more you try to grip tightly, the more things slip out of your hands. It's like holding sand in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more you lose. Real peace doesn't come from controlling the outside world. It comes from mastering your inner world. Here's what you can control: your breath, your response, your mindset, your energy, your actions, your presence. You can't stop the storm, but you can choose to stand calmly in the rain. You can't stop people from saying hurtful things, but you can choose not to let their words poison your heart. You can't guarantee success, but you can give your best, stay present, and let go of the outcome. In Buddhism, this practice is called equanimity, a balanced, peaceful mind that stays steady even when life feels chaotic. It doesn't mean you give up or stop caring. It means you shift your energy from controlling to responding wisely. For example, when someone speaks with anger, you can choose to breathe instead of react. When your plans fall apart, you can choose to trust that a new path may be opening. When uncertainty appears, you can choose faith over panic. This isn't easy, but the more you practice it, the more you realize how powerful you really are. Not because you control the world, but because you don't let the world control your peace. So when your heart feels overwhelmed, remind yourself gently, I don't need to control everything. I only need to control how I respond. That's where your strength lives. That's where worry begins to fade, and that's where true inner freedom begins. 4. Your worst days still built you. It's easy to look back on the hardest moments of your life and wish they had never happened. When you were at your lowest, whether it was facing loss, heartbreak, failure, or disappointment, you probably felt broken, alone, and unsure if you could ever recover. But here's a truth that Buddhism teaches us. Those painful moments were not wasted. They were the bricks that built your strength, your compassion, and your wisdom. Think about a seed pushing its way through dark, heavy soil. At first, it feels the weight of earth pressing down on it. It might struggle and crack, but without that pressure, it could never sprout. Those very forces that felt like they were crushing it also gave it the power to grow upward toward the light. In much the same way, your worst days pressed on you, but they also pushed you to become more resilient. Every time you experienced suffering, you had to face difficult feelings, grief, anger, fear. You may have wanted to run away, blame someone else, or give up entirely. But when you stayed present with your pain, when you acknowledged it instead of hiding from it, you learned something invaluable about yourself. You discovered how deep your capacity to heal could be. You uncovered hidden strengths you didn't know you had. You learned that even when you felt powerless, you still had choices. The choice to breathe, to continue, to reach for hope. In Buddhism, this process of transforming suffering into wisdom is called turning poison into medicine. Just as a skilled alchemist turns a harmful substance into something healing, you turn hardship into understanding, empathy, and inner peace. Your worst days taught you humility because you learned that you are not in control of everything. They taught you compassion because you now know what it feels like to hurt, and you can extend kindness to others in pain. They taught you patience because healing never happens overnight. And they taught you gratitude because when you finally emerged on the other side, you saw life's simple blessings with fresh eyes. So the next time you're tempted to despise the past, remember this: each painful chapter of your life played an essential role in shaping who you are today. Without the struggles, you wouldn't appreciate peace. Without the failures, you wouldn't value success. And without the low points, you might never reach for something higher. Embrace your history as a teacher, not an enemy. Bow to the lessons learned, even the harsh ones, because in Buddhism, every moment of suffering is an opportunity to awaken to your own strength, compassion, and the unshakable peace that lives within you. 5. Not everything deserves a reaction. When life throws challenges your way, insults from others, unexpected setbacks, or moments of self-doubt, it's natural to feel an immediate urge to respond. Our minds are wired to react swiftly. Someone says something hurtful, and we lash back. A problem arises, and we panic. Yet Buddhism teaches us that every reaction costs a piece of our peace. If we allow ourselves to be pulled into every conflict, our energy becomes scattered, and worry takes root more deeply. Imagine your mind as a vast, calm lake. When a pebble is thrown, ripples appear. But if the lake remains tranquil, the ripples eventually subside. However, if the lake's surface is already turbulent, even the smallest pebble creates waves that grow and persist. In the same way, if your mind is agitated, filled with fears, frustrations, and unprocessed emotions, any external pebble, an unkind word, a sudden change in plans, a reminder of a past mistake, can set off a storm of reactions. Buddhist wisdom encourages you to cultivate a state of inner stillness so that minor disturbances don't automatically trigger a response. This doesn't mean you become passive or uncaring. Rather, it means you learn to pause before reacting. In that pause, you create space to choose a wise response instead of an immediate, often knee-jerk reaction. When someone criticizes you harshly, your first impulse might be to defend yourself, to strike back, or to shut down. But if you breathe and observe your feelings, anger, hurt, or shame, without immediately acting on them, you give yourself time to see whether a reaction is truly necessary. Often you'll realize that the words were more about the speaker's own pain than about you. By choosing not to react, you preserve your peace and your relationships. Consider daily annoyances, a long line at the store, a rude driver cutting you off, a notification that disrupts your focus. None of these moments deserves a full-blown emotional storm. Yet, when you allow yourself to react, clenching your fists, clenching your jaw, your heart racing, you carry unnecessary tension. Buddhism teaches mindful awareness. Notice the irritation rising in your chest, recognize the impulse to clench, and then choose to let it pass. You might even silently remind yourself, this is just a passing moment. It does not need my full attention. In doing so, you free up mental and emotional space for things that truly matter. Another source of unnecessary reaction is the inner critic, the voice that judges every misstep, every flawed thought. When you make a mistake at work or fail to meet your own expectations, that inner voice says, "See, you're not good enough." If you react by spiraling into guilt or shame, you create further suffering. Instead, Buddhism invites you to observe that inner judgment as if it were someone else's nickname, just a voice that doesn't hold the ultimate truth. By not reacting to that critic, you weaken its power. You discover that self-worth isn't defined by every fleeting thought or error. Not everything deserves a reaction, because most disturbances, both external and internal, are temporary. They flicker in and out like passing clouds. If you practice remaining centered, you realize that reacting to each one is like trying to catch every cloud in your hand. You end up exhausted with hands full of mist. The practice can start small. The next time you feel anger swell, place a gentle hand over your heart. Take 3 deep breaths and let the sensation settle. You might say to yourself, I acknowledge this feeling, but I do not need to act on it right now. Over time, this pause becomes a habit. You'll find that even when the world seems chaotic, people arguing, plans derailing, unexpected news, you don't immediately lose your balance. Instead, you maintain a calm center. Worry begins to lose its grip because you're no longer fueling every fear with a reaction. Ultimately, Buddhism teaches that true wisdom lies in discernment, knowing which things deserve your attention and energy, and which things are merely passing disturbances. By refusing to react to every impulse, you conserve your inner resources, you protect your heart from needless pain, and you create a steady foundation of peace that even the fiercest storms cannot uproot. 6. Reframe the problem as a path. When you're in the midst of a crisis or struggle, it's natural to see the challenge as something to be avoided or defeated. You may feel trapped by circumstances, believing that the problem is a dead end rather than an opportunity. Yet Buddhism offers a radically different perspective. Every difficulty you face can be a gateway to growth and awakening. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, you learn to view them as signposts pointing you toward deeper wisdom. Imagine walking through a dense forest and encountering a fallen tree blocking your path. You could stand there frustrated, convinced that your journey is over, or you could walk alongside the tree, discover a small opening beneath its branches, and continue moving forward. In that narrow gap, you might notice new plants, fresh sunlight filtering through the leaves, or a hidden stream you never would have seen otherwise. The obstacle itself becomes part of your adventure, a lesson in adaptability and perspective. Buddhism calls this process turning poison into medicine. Every problem has within it the seeds of its own solution, if only you're willing to look deeper. When a relationship ends, rather than seeing it as a devastating failure, you can ask yourself, what can I learn about compassion, healthy boundaries, or self-worth from this experience? When your career hits a setback, you can inquire, what hidden talents am I being invited to develop? What new direction might emerge from this challenge? By reframing, you transform the energy of fear and resistance into curiosity and intention. This shift doesn't mean you pretend everything is fine when it's not. It doesn't deny the pain you feel. Instead, it invites you to lean into the discomfort long enough to discover its hidden gifts. Buddhism teaches that suffering reveals the roots of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, the very patterns that keep you trapped in cycles of stress and worry. When you face the difficult truth of your pain, you gain understanding about why certain situations make you suffer. Maybe you realize that you have been holding on to a certain outcome, or that you are resisting change because it feels too uncertain. By recognizing these patterns, you begin to loosen their hold. The practice of reframing also includes trusting that the universe has a wisdom beyond your current understanding. When the Buddha faced painful questions about life and death, he did not try to force answers. He sat in silence, observing the nature of reality. In your own life, when a problem appears, pause and breathe before reacting. Notice the story your mind wants to create, how it may make the problem bigger or assume there is no way out. Then gently ask, is there another way to see this? What might this situation be teaching me? As you develop this mindset, you become less reactive and more thoughtful. You create space to see not only the difficulty, but also the possibility inside it. When you reframe challenges as paths, you begin to value the richness of the journey itself. Buddhism teaches that life is impermanent and always changing. Joy and sorrow move together. By accepting this flow, you are no longer a helpless victim of circumstances, but an active participant in your own awakening. You begin to notice how each trial shapes your character, strengthens your patience, and expands your ability for compassion. Even when the path feels dangerous, when heartbreak, illness, or failure feels heavy, you can walk it with intention, knowing that every step brings useful insight. Over time, this practice of reframing becomes natural. Difficult situations no longer stop you, but invite you to move forward with curiosity. Worry loses its power because you are no longer obsessed with trying to escape discomfort. Instead, you are focused on learning from it. You trust that every problem, no matter how difficult, holds a lesson that will guide you toward deeper clarity and inner peace. In this way, Buddhism changes suffering into a powerful teacher, showing you that what you once saw as a closed door was simply an invitation to find a new path. Faith is the antidote to fear. Fear often grows in uncertainty. Imagine standing at the edge of a dark forest, not knowing what is inside. Your mind creates every possible danger, and your heart beats with fear. In Buddhism, faith, sometimes called saddha in the Pali language, is not blind belief, but an inner confidence based on experience. It is the light that helps you move forward, even when you cannot see the whole path. When difficult times darken your view, faith becomes a shield, helping you stand strong in uncertainty. First, understand that fear often appears because the mind tries to predict outcomes it cannot control. When you ask, "What if I fail?" or "What if my worst fear comes true?" you are projecting possible futures onto a blank screen. Buddhism teaches that this projection is like watching a frightening movie in your mind. Your imagination often creates the most frightening story. Faith steps in to remind you that you do not need to know the ending before taking the first step. By doing small things, like pausing to feel your breath, or remembering times when you overcame challenges, you slowly build trust inside that life can guide you wisely, even if you do not know every answer. Next, see that faith grows from real experience, not only from inspiring words. Think back to moments in your life when you faced struggles, maybe an unexpected illness, a broken relationship, or money troubles, and still found a way forward. Notice how, even when the solution was not clear, you discovered strength within, resilience, creativity, or received help from friends or even strangers. These moments show that support is always near, sometimes from your own heart, sometimes from the world around you. By remembering them, you water the seed of faith. If I managed before, I can trust myself to face uncertainty again. Another way Buddhism builds faith is through the idea of impermanence, anicca. Everything changes, including your situation, emotions, and even your body. When you understand that no painful moment lasts forever, you begin trusting the natural flow of life. Just like storms always pass, your present difficulties will also fade. Accepting this truth does not mean you give up. Instead, you see that both good and bad times come and go. With this awareness, you can rest more peacefully in the present, knowing that today's fear will not stay forever. Faith also grows through community and the guidance of wise teachers, whether from scriptures, meditation guides, or supportive friends. In early Buddhist communities, people came together to listen to the Buddha's teachings and share their experiences. This shared faith reminds you that you are never alone in your struggles. Others have walked similar paths, found healing, and discovered peace. When you hear stories of monks who stayed calm during crises, or of practitioners who changed pain into compassion, it plants a seed in your heart. If they managed it, maybe I can too. These examples strengthen your belief that change and healing are both possible. Buddhism also teaches that faith and effort always work together. Faith is not about waiting for miracles, but about actively taking part in practice. Even one sincere breath, seen as a step in meditation, can deepen your trust. When fear holds your mind, you can remind yourself, I trust that by returning to my breath, I will find clarity. Each time you do this, every moment you choose mindfulness instead of panic, you make the bridge between fear and faith stronger. With time, that bridge becomes so steady that fear no longer controls you when uncertainty appears. Think about how faith changes your relationship with fear. Instead of seeing fear as an enemy to fight, you begin to see it as a guide, showing where deeper trust or wisdom is needed. When fear arises, pause and ask, what is this fear trying to teach me? It may reveal hidden attachments, quiet worries, or forgotten dreams. Faith allows you to meet that message with curiosity instead of avoidance. You may discover that beneath the fear lies a longing for meaning, a need for connection, or a wish to live in harmony with your true values. In this way, faith becomes the medicine for fear, not because it magically removes all anxiety, but because it teaches you to respond differently. With faith, you notice fear is there and still choose to move forward. You trust that each breath, each moment of awareness will give you the clarity you need. As faith becomes deeper over time, you will notice that fear slowly loses its power to freeze you. Instead, it becomes a gentle reminder, encouraging you to gather your strength, call on your inner courage, and step with confidence into the unknown. In the end, these 7 lessons are more than just teachings. They are practical reminders that you can change the way you respond to fear and hardship. Your thoughts are not always facts. The present moment is the only thing you truly have. You may not be able to control everything, but you can always choose your response. With practice, every painful moment adds to your resilience, and not every disturbance needs your reaction. Every challenge has something to teach you, and faith, built on remembering your past strengths and trusting in impermanence, will support you whenever fear appears. As you practice these teachings, you slowly move from being controlled by outside situations to feeling steady in your own inner wisdom. Worry may still come, but it no longer has to stay. You learn to sit with uncertainty, breathe through it, and keep moving forward with calm confidence. May these principles become a guide whenever life feels too heavy. Come back to them as often as you need. Read them, reflect on them, and let them guide you back to peace. By doing this, you will see that even in the hardest times, your heart can remain open, your mind clear, and your spirit continue to grow. Thank you for watching. If these lessons touched you, take a moment now to breathe deeply, appreciate your journey, and step gently into what comes next.